Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Book Club. Today we will be reviewing Enola Holmes, The Case of the Missing Marquess, chapters 4 and 5, 5 and 6. I already forgot, but it's going to be fun, and I know I read him, so hopefully I read the right chapters. Oh man. I have some book club friends with me today, and I'm going to bring them in. So, we've got Mr. Tracy Glenn.
What up?
Welcome in, Tracy. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for last week. Guys, if you didn't know, last week's book club was hosted on Tracy's channel because I took the week off, which I'm going to say a little something about on my Wednesday show at 5 o'clock. Tracy held the fort, and he was amazing, and everyone was amazing, and it was really good. So
let's talk about that when everybody gets in.
Okay. Next, we've got Miss Gina, Classy Disney Mom. Welcome back, Gina.
Hi.
Good to see you.
You too.
Thank you. And we've got, I can't even pronounce this name, but we call him Mr. Snuggles. It's Tim Pruitt, Ursus Holmes. Oh, I'm not displaying names. Hold on. I forgot to click the button. All the way down here. Show names. There we go. Back on track. Ursus, is that how you say that?
Yeah, it's a bear, basically.
It's a bear. Okay. Sounds good. And next we've got the beautiful Miss Yachty from Happily. Yeah, Yachty.
Miss Yachty.
Yeah, that's it.
That's your new nickname. Oh my goodness. And we have some pretty rad people in the chat right now. We've got Yachty also in chat. Miss Candy Mom just got the book.
Candy. I'm so glad you bought the book.
You too. That's exciting. I'm really excited. And Dennis Lagazi. Welcome in, Dennis. It's good to see you. All right. So last week, Tracy hosted book club. You guys want to fill me in?
Let's just talk about Tracy hosting book club. Tracy hosting book club's not cool because one, he's structured. There's no way to get off topic if I'm the one who has to hold the topic. All right. My job is to get everything off track. That's what I'm here for.
But you did good. I thought you held your own, and you did really well.
But how am I supposed to deviate from the topic?
Okay.
And here I thought he wanted you to wait till everybody was here so he could hear you brag about what a great job he did. And he just wanted to complain.
Yeah, pretty much. Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, constellations also rooted in the name of Ursula.
Cool. Fun fact.
Put that in there.
Dennis, he's always full of fun facts, so he just lets out randomly, and I love it. Space Out and Dave Cantrell. Good to see you, Dave. All right, so last week, where did you guys leave off? Was it at chapter 5 or chapter 4?
I think we got through 4.
Yeah,
we got through 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all right.
I honestly wasn't sure. Maybe I wasn't paying attention to Tracy. Maybe that was the problem.
That could have been. It's easy to do that though. So, I mean, yeah.
Well, I'm caught up either way.
I read, and so chapter 4 ended with she finds out that maybe that her mother didn't leave her. That her mother was up to some shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Right? Is that what happened towards the end of the book?
More or less. Well, that's what the brothers have decided, that she's just run off, and Enola has to sort of admit maybe that's true. I think it's kind of how it ended.
She was up to shenanigans. Shenanigans.
All the shenanigans.
But she had a revelation right there at the end, which I was kind of waiting for it to come to fruition, and it finally did in these chapters. But she finally realized that if Mom had done, why did she tell her to wait to give her birthday gifts in case she didn't make it back? And she did say in case she didn't make it back.
Yep.
So.
And I really like these next 2 chapters. First, I want to get thoughts on these two chapters. I really enjoyed these two chapters because so much is unraveled. What else? What do you guys think?
Same, pretty much.
Chapter 6 was wow. I
Mhm.
did not expect any of that at all.
Yeah.
And I'm still a little confused as to why it was done that way. But I guess because of the brothers and all that. But that was a surprise.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Don't
Absolutely.
get too far ahead.
Yeah, we have to.
We'll pull Tracy here.
Tracy didn't read.
Yeah, Tracy's here for comic relief.
Oh, that's right. He's just here to distract today. Forgot.
He's gonna get spoilers. That means. All right, so chapter the 5th starts off with, so she excused herself from luncheon because her eyes were filled with burning with tears over this thought of her mother taking money and having alternate plans or whatever, which we'll soon find out what they were. So she runs out the kitchen door through the vegetable garden. She runs through the open fields, and I love the imagery that this gave because it was just beautiful. But she runs past, so the constables and the other searchers have left the area because they can't find her mom, and they've branched out elsewhere. But I love that she says this. She reached her favorite place, the deep rocky dell, where ferns draped like a lady's green velvet evening gown over the stones, trailing down to a pebbly stream that formed a pool under the leaning willow. Love that imagery. The imagery is great here. And she ducks beneath to crawl into a shady hollow between the overhanging tree and the stream. So I'm trying to envision this in my head, and I really get a picture of, she's got a secret hiding spot. She hides things that normally Lane would throw out. She keeps special things in this place. So she curls up and she draws pictures of her brothers. Mean pictures, not nice ones, right?
Apparently not.
Yeah. And I think she wanted to draw one of her mom too, but she stopped, and I forget why she stopped. I think it was not today. All I could think of was what could have become of mom and how I would have to go home eventually, and she would not be waiting for me. So her anger, I think, turned into grief again. But pretty soon she is found by the dog and Sherlock.
Oh, well, I know why she stopped.
Oh, why she stopped?
She stopped to make a list.
That's right, the list.
She started making a list of why her mother may have why she thinks her mother may have left. That's before the dog found her.
That's before the dog. Yeah, the questions were, why did mom not take me with her? If she had any distance to travel, why did she not use the bicycle? Why did she dress so oddly? She's got all these questions that she's asked. So instead of drawing a picture of her mom, she writes down these questions. There she is. Hey, Simone.
Hey, Simone.
Hi.
We just got started, so you didn't miss much. So,
And if you read, you're ahead of me.
Yeah, I'm on chapter 12.
I wasn't the only one that went ahead.
Yeah.
Simone, my type of girl.
love it. I love it.
Oh, you made up for Tracy.
Yeah, at least you people made up for me.
Yeah, like 6 chapters. Oh, goodness. All right. So let me pull my book back up. All right. So after she asks all these questions and the dog finds her, Reginald, Sherlock finds the pictures that she was drawing. He picks them up, and she's thinking that she's going to take heat for it. And he chuckles at them. But he says, don't tell Mycroft, though, because Mycroft is more of the stick in the mud, is what I'm gathering. So, all right, thoughts so far before I move on.
I thought it was. Oh, go ahead, Gina.
Oh no, it's okay.
No, I'm just. I thought it was. I mean, it would be Sherlock Holmes who would figure out that the dog would find her. I think.
Tracy, you look like a nerd.
What?
Who said that?
You look like a nerd, Tracy.
Michael.
You look handsome. Chomps, 56.
What's up, Chuck?
Oh,
You
Tom,
look good, buddy. You look good.
I didn't see his head.
You look like me.
These are my Jeff Dizzard dream glasses.
I can't keep up with you smart people. I'm out of here.
Hi, Chomps.
Right.
Bye, boo.
All right.
Right.
Okay. Tim, Gino, whichever one of you is talking, go for it.
Oh, well, I was starting to say, I was just saying that I thought it was fun, interesting that he kind of used the dog to find her. Sherlock would think of that. I mean, he would think that, the dog would probably be able to track her down or know where she goes, because she may have taken the dog with her. Probably when she was by herself, I would imagine the dog probably went with her at times. So he used anyway. So the dog sticks its head in first, and then Sherlock pops in. So
Right.
I just thought that was fitting.
Is this the first mention of the dog, or has he been messing?
No,
with
we've
her
talked. We've heard of the dog before.
Yeah,
Okay.
not much about the dog.
Just in passing.
Yeah.
Okay. See, little
I
details
remember
like
that-
I don't think- Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say that when Sherlock gets the pictures and he like laughs and then he says, "You have quite a knack for caricature." I was so upset that I couldn't see the picture.
I know.
I really wanted to see what she drew. I was like, darn, they couldn't put a little picture.
Yeah. At the beginning of the chapter or something, just throw us a bone. I was
Just a
curious
little
too, 'cause I'm
something.
like, yeah, I agree.
I thought it was
Oh.
interesting that, like, I guess because of what happened in the previous chapters, when Sherlock was interacting with her like this, I'm like, oh, maybe there is a tiny bit of shred of humanity, a little bit of empathy. I mean, we'll have to see how it goes, but I just because last when we talked about it, it was just it was pretty discouraging, with his attitude. But like this one was like, well, maybe I don't know, maybe there's some good that will come from this
Right.
brother, hopefully,
Right.
So
All right, real quick, I want to welcome in Anna Isabel. I don't know why I just held up my finger. Anna Isabel and Kim Stolworthy. Welcome in. I can't motion, I can't talk, and now I'm choking. Go ahead, Tim.
Go ahead, Tim. Okay, what were we saying? Oh, Gina, you can. Well, the next thing I thought was sad about that, what Gina was just saying, was that after he leaves, and which he does in a moment, she's thinking this may be the last time she gets to speak to him for a long, long time, which I thought, well, that's kind of a sad thought. Because I guess there's a little part of me that thinks that somehow her and Sherlock will figure this out, because she's much more like Sherlock than she is, obviously more than Mycroft. But then again, her mother, Sherlock has an attitude about women also that I guess was prevalent at this time, but which was a little disappointing. But but I don't know. I think he might be a little bit more open. He might even be more open when Mycroft's not around, for that matter. Maybe he's not quite as bad, although he's always pretty much been full of himself. I mean, even if you read the books, Sherlock was always top dog in the room.
Yeah. Sir Fum John, welcome in. And don't worry, I completely understand. And Kim, thank you. And let me just make sure I'm caught up. Okay. All right. Any other thoughts before we keep going?
Oh, he liked her questions too. I got ahead of myself there when I said he was leaving, but he read the questions, and she was expecting more rebuttal, I think, when they were in the house. But he actually looked at the questions she was asking about the disappearance and thought they made sense.
Yeah.
And even asked her a couple of questions, about where do you think she would have gone? But obviously her mother was different than women of that time, but she was also secretive. I mean, and she may have kept stuff from Enola because Enola was young, and Enola may know way more than she thinks because she just wasn't picking up on it at the time.
Right.
We'll see as that goes.
Right. I like how he says there, you have clearly covered the salient points. I really enjoy that. But the after he leaves, she realizes, she says, my brother Sherlock had not laughed at my thoughts. And this girl is so used to feeling like she, people think she's foolish, that she doesn't have that confidence, And I think that's interesting because I think in this book, she's going to learn she's worth more than she thinks.
Well, I think she was probably confident in other things, and when she was just with her mother, she's going to learn that her mother's taught her a lot. It just wasn't the usual way things were. Not. She also made, and maybe you're getting ready to say this, Tina, so I don't want to step on.
No, go ahead.
But she said she made a point about she just wanted her brothers to care for her just even a little bit, somehow possible, which I think is also a sad commentary on the situation.
Yeah, she says, I did not dare to think in terms of affection, but I wanted them to care for me a little somehow. So, yeah, I mean, she hasn't seen her brother since she was 4. All this time she thought it was her fault, and now she's learning that it was we're gonna get more into that, but I'll save that because I'm going a little bit ahead of myself. So he tells her, so he's leaving, he's going back to London. He's going to file an inquiry with Scotland Yard and mention something about the suffragists. She's making a pilgrimage to some shrine of the suffragists over to the south of France or something, or if she's still lingering around the area or in London. So we're going to find all that out. So she heads back to the house, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she does.
So Sherlock reassures her that there's, take heart. There's no indication that there's been any harm done to the mother. All points lead to she's perfectly fine. She intentionally did this. She ran off, and we're going to find out where she ran off to. So, and welcome in Amy, AJC Magic TV. Good to see you. And
she can't see us. She's listening. Hi, Amy.
Oh, hi, Amy.
Hi,
Yeah.
Amy.
All right. So back at the hall, she says, I went looking for the item Lane had called a dress improver. The bustle. Again, we've come back to the bustle. Finding it where I had left it, most
Baby got bustle.
inappropriately. Baby got bustle.
Baby got bustle.
Oh, gosh.
I keep waiting for this bustle to really have some importance because they talk about it so much.
Ain't got none if you ain't got bustle, honey.
Oh my gosh. Okay. My gosh, this is too funny. And I lost my highlights. Hold on. Sorry.
Yeah,
Way to throw me off, Grace. Way to throw me off.
That's his job.
That is my job here, isn't it?
Good job,
That's
Tracy.
true. That's true. Oh, hold on. I guess I'll give you a clap for that one then. Sinking into the hard wooden arms of a hallway chair, she slumped into like a coma. She stayed like that for a very long time. If Mom had left me behind, I was very well going to help myself to the contents of her room. So she wants to get into her mom's room. So she goes up. Because she has to get changed. So she goes up to the room. She tries to go up to the room. She fiddles with the handle and it's locked. So she yells for Lane to come, and he's at the bottom of the overlook or the steps or whatever, and he's like this with his little white gloves on. He's like this, and I got the full visual of that.
What's up, Carlos?
In my head. Hey, Carlos, welcome in.
Was that Carlos making that noise?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what that noise was.
That's my cameras.
It's all right. No worries. Okay, so he says, Miss Enola, Mr. Mycroft is napping. So she says, can I have the key to unlock the door? And he says, Mycroft says we have to keep the doors locked. And so she's very crafty. So she's like, I have to get changed. My clothes are dirty. I want something from Mom's wardrobe. And if Mycroft sees me at dinner looking like this, he ain't going to be very happy. He's going to be more put out than if you open the door for me, which I love. Very, very crafty. So
she knew that would get him.
Yeah, absolutely. So he lets her in. She takes her sweet old time, and she decides to look for a key because she's thinking, if Mom's thinking she's not coming back, she's going to leave the key somewhere. So she searches around. She finds it in one of the walking attire that's hanging up. And she takes it, holds it in her hand, puts the clothes over her wrist to cover the key, and she walks out and leaves. So now she's got a key to her mom's room. You got to wonder if this is going to come in handy later, which we can kind of figure out that it's going to, which we'll find out why. Yeah, it does. So I'm going to skip. I get ahead of myself and then I leave the page behind and now I have to catch up with the page. So as she's at dinner and with Mycroft, and Mycroft had the courtesy to not say a word about my borrowed dress, a loose flowing aesthetic gown which bared my neck, but hung upon the rest of me like a sheet upon a broomstick. So this thing's literally
a little big on her.
Yeah, slightly big. She says, although I am sure I look like a child playing dress up, and I knew it, which was funny.
And that probably took a lot for Mycroft not to comment on, because I'm just thinking he would say something.
Yeah, he was a little more tactful. But he does say that he sent for a seamstress from London, and she says there's seamstress here in Kindford. And he says, yes, but the London seamstress will know exactly what you need for boarding school. Okay, it's officially hit the fan. Boarding school. Everything her mom stands against, everything she was taught, not to want to be involved with. Boarding school. I don't think she's going to take this very well. What do you guys think?
No, I don't think so. I don't blame her, but I don't think so.
Yeah. Somehow I wouldn't really like that either, and I'm I don't know. But anyways,
she's 14. She's 14.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not there, and Mycroft is technically now her. She's Mycroft's ward.
Yeah, ward. Yeah. She's his ward.
Well, we'll find out a little bit after. Is also the mother was also under Mycroft because of the way that the lineage falls.
Correct. We established this in the last chapter.
Okay.
Which is just seems. I mean, it's such an unfair situation. But anyway.
Yeah. God bless the USA. Okay, so I have to compose my eyes. All right, so she says, I'm not going to boarding school. They have this big argument, which ends up with she removes herself from the table. There's contents of the argument, where he says your mother's failed in her responsibility to you, and also where he says, he's in charge of her, like we just talked about.
She goes into detail about things like having to wear a corset and
things they teach you at boarding school, things you have to do at boarding school. And so Mycroft brings up, how he, there's still time to salvage her so that she doesn't shame the family. And that's where his focus is. That's clearly not where his mother's focus was or is, and is not where Enola's focus is either. So she says, I have always been a disgrace. I will always be a disgrace, and I am not going to be sent to any finishing establishment for young ladies. And he says, yes, you are. And of course, this isn't going to end well. But she says, so he says, he rolls his eyes and he says, just like mother. And then she says, in that moment, I understood exactly how Mom felt during those days after my father's death. And that's why there was a falling out, because of the way he's treating her now. He also treated his mother. And so we're getting a bigger piece of the picture, I think. Piece of the puzzle. So the chapter ends off with, I wish I could say I swept with cold dignity out of the room. But the truth is, I tripped over my skirt and stumbled to the stairs. I loved the ending of this chapter. I can relate to it. It's me to a T. I am klutz extraordinaire, and I just love this. All right, thoughts on the 5th chapter? What do you guys think?
I thought that was a good ending too, because one, it's her all over. I mean, and it's just sort of, even though she didn't really mean to stumble, it's still kind of in Mycroft's face. To me, it was anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just tough to think about. He's saying you're going to boarding school, and she's like, I'm by God not going to boarding school. But she didn't have any say in it. I mean, and technically, legally, she didn't have any say in it at that time. He could force her to go if he chooses to do so. Now, whether he would come around to see, well, he's looking at it from London society, London standards, the way things were, the way women were raised, the way they were taught, the things they were taught were not the same. They didn't go to the same schools as men did. They didn't learn the same class, the same subject matter. They were supposed to be, ladies, you can help me here, young ladies of society or whatever. And that wasn't her. She wasn't headed down that path.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a series on, I guess it was on Netflix, and I won't be able to remember. Oh, no. It actually ran on PBS. It was called Miss Scarlet and the Duke. I don't know if anybody saw that. But it's sort of like this in some ways, in that it was London, probably about the same time period, maybe a little after, and this young lady had taken over her father's investigative services. He was an investigator of some sort. And she was always wearing pants and doing things because that's what she wanted, to be a detective. But nobody else thought she should be a detective because she was a woman. And women didn't do that sort of thing. And this kind of reminds me of that story. It's a really good series if you didn't see it. I would highly recommend watching it. But
nice.
But it reminds me of this because she didn't feel like, I mean, she does dress differently, and she does dress in more feminine clothes some, but she didn't fit this frame, kind of like Mycroft saying, you're not going to fit in. You never go anywhere if you don't fit in.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Yeah. I think this is interesting because back then, to rebel against how young ladies should be in society was really, really frowned upon. And now in today's society, when it's completely, we've completely, not that it's a bad thing that we've gone in the opposite direction, but it's like, I think women just got so tired of being treated the way they were being treated. And I can't say I blame them. So I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this whole thing with women's suffrage at the time was really hard fought. If you look into that history and some of the things that happened, I mean, men did not want to give up that control. They had pretty much ultimate control over everything.
Right.
And women had few rights at all. I mean, it's just like this whole thing with her in the house, and it was all Mycroft by birth and all that kind of crap. And but it wasn't. This was a hard fought battle at that time to get women's rights.
Yeah.
To get the vote, much less other rights.
Right. All right. Chapter 6, or chapter the 6th, I should say, as it's given to us. Starts off with, "That night I could not sleep. Indeed, at first I could not even be still." So she's very uneasy. Who can blame her, actually? The whole reason for my distress was not as obvious as may at first appear. It was Mycroft who made me angry, but it was my changing thoughts about my mother that made me upset. Excuse me. So she's thinking of all these things and the circumstances around her, and she says she had felt as trapped as I did. But in the end, she had managed it. Glorious rebellion. Thinking about rebellion and everything, and why her mother did what she did. But she's saying, confound her. Why is she not taking me with her? Mm-hmm. So anger sets back in, frustration. She pulls out her little drawing notebook and starts sketching a picture of her mother. She drew a furious picture of my mother, all wrinkles and jowls, with her mouth a thin line going off in her 3 stories and a basement hat, and her turkey back jacket, flourishing her umbrella like a sword, while the train of her ridiculous bustle trailed behind her.
I love the hat, the 3 stories in a basement hat.
Yeah.
I assume that means a really tall hat. I'm just. Does
That's what I
anybody know if
thought,
there
too.
was such a thing as what's it called that, or is that just her name for it? 3
No
stories
idea.
in a basement. I love that.
She probably heard her terminology.
Mhm.
So something happens while she's doing this, and something changes in her thoughts, right?
This is the part I've been waiting for right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here we go. We're getting to it. It's happening.
Mm-hmm.
She realized she sat bolt upright at the desk, her mouth agape. Now I saw, from Mom's point of view, and it made perfect sense. Mom was clever. She had left me a message as a present on my birthday. Which was why she had chosen the day of all days to leave, a day for the giving of gifts, so no one would notice. She leapt up. Where'd she put it? So she's scrounging around for something. She's looking in this place. Then she finds it perched on the Noah's Ark. It was perched in her neglected dollhouse of all places. There it was, a slender sheaf of hand-painted, hand-lettered, crisp artist papers, creased precisely in half and stitched together along the fold. I pounced upon it, the booklet of ciphers my mother had created for me. Mother taught her how to do ciphers. Her mom's going to relate to her in ciphers. This is going to get interesting.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of letters that there's like 3 letters in each. So it's ALO space NEK space and so on and so forth. And her mother's flyaway lettering. One glance at the first cipher made me shut my eyes, wanting to cry. Think, Enola. So she's trying to decode this. Taking a fresh sheet of paper from the drawing kit, she pulled close the oil lamp on one hand and the candle on the other, then copy the cipher like this. So she writes it all together. She puts all the letters together with no spaces. The only word that makes sense at first is the first word, alone, or Enola, which is it? And she's like, try it backwards. She tries it backwards. Comes out to say, Enola, look in my chrysanthemums. She figures it out. So now we're going to find what chrysanthemums, what's happening. Any thoughts so far?
No, this is what I just kept thinking. There's going to be a hidden message somewhere, and I kept thinking it's got to be in this kit that she gave. And I actually thought she was going to find it. And I kept thinking when she was out under the tree by herself, I thought she's going to find it then.
Some kind of note or something.
But she didn't, and she didn't think of it. And so she finally, I was like a hurrah moment because I thought she's finally picking up on what's going on here. But, her mother is too smart has taught her too much not to have left her some kind of a message and in cipher so that if anybody else found it, they would have a clue what she was talking about.
Right. Absolutely.
So I was glad she figured that out. I mean, that renewed my faith.
So she's so cute. She says, I had solved the cipher. I was not totally stupid. There's a little bit of self-confidence coming back, and we're starting to see it now, I think. So she gets up, she creeps over to her mom's. Hey, Kay, welcome in. Good to see you. So we're now going to venture over to her mom's room, and we're going to look at, because she's like, not the chrysanthemums outside. She's saying her chrysanthemums. So down the stairs, so she's down the opposite end of the hallway is her mom's room, and right across from there is Mycroft's room where he's staying in the guest room. So she goes down. That's so first she looked at the meanings of the book that her mom gave her, Meanings of Wildflowers. She looked up chrysanthemum, And that means is the bestowing of chrysanthemums indicates familial attachment and by implication affection. So then she looks up Sweet Pea Blossom means goodbye, thank you for a lovely time, a gift made upon departure. So she's like, departure, okay. And then she looks up thistles, which means defiance. So now we're getting some more clues here. Mom had left a message after all. Departure and defiance in a Japanese vase. In her airy sitting room with 100 watercolors on the wall, watercolors of flowers. I blinked, smiling wilder. Enola, I whispered to myself. That's it. Now she gets up and she ventures down to her mom's room.
I just remembered something. I was trying to figure out why the thistles and the other thing. What was it?
The sweet pea blossoms.
Sweet pea blossoms. They were in that vase that she cleaned out. That was sitting in a room that was the flowers were all wilted, so she dumped them out. And I just remembered that. I kept trying to think where those came in, but now I remember. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So I love this part right here. She says, girls are supposed to play with dolls. Over the years, well-meaning adults have provided me with various dolls. I detested dolls, pulling their heads off when I could, but now I had finally found a use for them. Inside a yellow-haired doll's hollow cranium, I had hidden the key to Mother's room. Like, oh my gosh.
My daughters always pulled the heads off their dolls. Now I'm wondering if that's why they did it. Maybe they didn't want dolls either.
Maybe they're just like,
well, I thought that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So she ventures down. She pretty much tiptoes. And I love this part. I read this to my husband because it's a perfect description of him when he's sleeping. Issuing from behind Mycroft's closed bedroom door came an uncouth drone, rather like that of a hog lying in the sun. So I looked at my husband and I was like, oh, this is you. And he goes, what do you mean? And then I read the next line, which said, evidently my brother snores. And he goes, she couldn't just say snores? And now here he comes. He's looking. He just barged into the room, and he's got his hands on his hips now.
But the hog line in the sun was so much more descriptive.
That's what I said to him. I was like, yeah, but her description was much more entertaining.
Much better.
So, yeah. All right. So she ends up, I heard some wallowing sounds. He's stirring, but then he goes back to snoring, and she's safe. So she goes inside the room. And at last I found a rendition of chrysanthemums, russet and gold, like the ones in my cipher book. So she's standing on tiptoe. She could reach the bottom of the frame. She finds the frame. She gets it down, lifts it, pulls it down, coaxing the wire off. And the frame itself came first, face down on the table. Then the glass, very clean. Then a kind of inner frame cut out of thick tinted paper. To this, the top edge of the watercolor was slightly gummed. Excuse me. Then a backing of thin wood painted white. Tiny nails driven edgewise into the frame held everything in place, and finally Mother would paste brown paper over the back of the frame to hide the nails and keep the dust out. So she's going through this frame, and finally she finds a note from her mom. So she's getting excited, and she's thinking of what this note could be. A letter explaining her desertion, expressing her regrets and her affection, perhaps even inviting me to join her. And I just had a thought. Perhaps expressing her regrets and her affection. I don't know what her mother was like affectionate-wise, but when you teach your daughter how to do these things and you teach her how to, I guess, survive if anything ever happened to you, that's a whole lot of affection right there, whether you realize it or not. She's giving you the stepping stones that you're going to need how to be, get by in life. At least that's the way I take it. And I hope that she'll realize that after. But
it's almost like her mother didn't have time to do any of that because she's had this master plan for so long. So she had to teach her this. She had to, let her know you don't worry about these ladies with the bustles and the corsets or whatever, So it was.
Well, she was 4. I think she was 4 when her father died. Go ahead, Simone. Were you saying something?
No, I was just going to say that I have to go. I have an appointment.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hope the appointment goes well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Did anybody? Did everybody know why? This is not entirely on subject, but she describes this painting in detail about how it was framed. I never knew exactly why the brown paper was on the back of old paintings. I mean, it is. I've seen it on a lot of stuff that's older, and I never thought about keeping dirt out and stuff. It was just, I don't know. I guess I just thought they put it on there for.
That's where they hide That's where they hide all their jewels.
That's true.
Well, see, I never.
Welcome in, Chris Dad Builds.
I didn't think I ever grew up around anybody that had jewels.
Well, I think a lot of that. I think that a lot of that comes down to is probably because where they were hanging it, how they were hanging it. They didn't want any damage to come to it from the behind.
It makes sense now. I just never thought of that.
Yeah.
I did. I mean, my daughter does antique stuff, and I've seen paintings and stuff come from her shop, and I just never thought about why that was. They always did all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. You don't think of certain things, and then when you find it out, it's like, oh yeah.
So she's either had this letter in here for a long time, or she's redone this. Also, I thought of that too because the paper is secured; it's glued on. So she's put this in there. She's either had to remove a cover that was already there, or she's had this letter in position for a long time. Well, she didn't say how long it had been since she painted it, but
right. Well, she finds the letter, and trembling, she opens it. What is it gonna say? I love this. This would have excited me. I don't know about anybody else, but if I had found this, I'd be like jumping on the bed. It was a note, all right, from Mom, but not the sort of note which I'd hoped. It was a Bank of England note for £100. More money than most common folks saw in a year. So not what she was thinking she wanted from her mom. But we're going to see why in future chapters, why her mother did this. And I think I'm getting a better picture painted in my head now of why she had left her the money.
Let me guess, you read ahead too?
What? No, I didn't actually. I read till the end of this chapter, and that was it. I behaved.
So, by the way, I just finished reading those 2 chapters.
In this amount of time that we've been discussing?
Yeah.
Okay, wow. I have no words. I can't do that. I need to have
I didn't know he was a sped reader. Who knew?
What?
That was fast. Okay. So she cries herself to sleep, and she wakes up in the morning. Lane comes in, asks her what's wrong. She just says she's tired.
Well, she can't tell her that she was up to 2-3 in the morning searching her mom's room.
True. But now she's having an internal struggle. Exactly. And now she's having an internal struggle because she knows this is most likely Mycroft's money, but mostly Mycroft's money from his inheritance, not the money he earned. So she's making justifications little by little here of why she should keep the money, which is getting interesting. And now we're at the end of the chapter, and she says, what did Mother mean for me to do with it? Already dimly, by her example, I knew the answer to that question. Oh, we don't know, because we're going to find out next week. Any thoughts?
Join us next week when
we're going to find out what she's going to do with that money. So,
well, she's probably right. Mycroft, if she told Mycroft about it, he may have taken it back.
He would have taken it back.
Yeah, sure,
no
absolutely.
doubt.
Because he's already
considering he found out that her mother was taking the money and squandering it away, so she had either an escape, a way to get out of this life, or a way to move on. My biggest question is why does she wait till 14? If there's just not getting ahead of the book, and obviously some people here got ahead of the book.
So don't tell us, Yanni. Only if it's your opinion, not something you've learned by reading.
I'm gonna go read ahead now.
Well, now you can officially read. So
it's torture. Reading so slow.
Did she think at age 14 that Enola would be considered an independent woman or somebody that could stay at the house by herself? Did she not understand how Mycroft and Sherlock was going to take this?
Well, maybe she did. Maybe that's why she left the money.
But wait, at what age would ladies like back in that time, didn't they like get married very young? Like,
well, yes, because they were,
15.
Yeah, like 15, 16. So at 14, she's already kind of like a little.
Well, it's funny too, because in the movie version of this that was on Netflix, and I watched like the first 5 minutes of it, and so now I'm going to wait because this is not like the book. Of course, now the book's kind of caught up, or where I think it was. But she was 16 in the movie, and I wondered why they did that. Maybe they did that so people nowadays would accept her as an older teenager or something. Right. Maybe, I don't know. But 14 in that time frame was not necessarily a child anymore. I mean,
right? Yeah, I had a thought because it was Enola that summoned her brothers, not their mother. I mean, maybe she wasn't even thinking Enola would summon Sherlock and Mycroft. Maybe she was thinking Enola would figure this out on her own and not have to get the authorities involved or her brothers. You know what I mean?
Well,
I don't even know. You know what I mean? But at the same time, she did leave these clues for her to decipher for a reason. You got to kind of wonder, maybe did she have a hint after all, and that's why she sent the clues, because only Enola would be able to figure them out, because she knows Sherlock's brain. She knows Mycroft works for the government.
Yeah.
So she clearly left clues that only Enola would be able to decipher.
Or at least
quickly. Yeah.
Well, and it could be that. I mean, I think you got a good point there, but Lane or Mrs. Lane might have also eventually let them know that something was going on. I mean, unless she had asked them not to, and we don't know that. She obviously kept them on for some reason.
All right, so I'm wrong. Age of debutantes were launched into society at the age of 17 or 18 with formal introduction to the monarch and debut in a high-profile ball. So she was still kind of young for this age.
For England, anyway.
Correct.
Well, I thought it was 15 because in all the Jane Austen books, the coming of age is 15 when you can get married. It's not unheard of.
But that's debutante, so I'm not assuming.
Yeah, that might depend on the level of society you're in, perhaps.
Okay.
I mean, in this country, they used to make fun of here, but who was it? It used to be that if you were over 14, you were an old maid, and you were starting to, you're going to get too old to get married here pretty soon. Yeah. I think it was Loretta Lynn that was a grandmother by the time she was 30, so because she got married at 14 or something. Not saying I'm a big fan. I just remember that from reading about it. But
right.
So she was close. Let's put it that way. 14. Yeah. And again, I suspect that maybe that's why they did that in the movie. She was being just a little bit older. People would expect her to be a little bit more mature, perhaps. But back then, 14, you could have been very mature.
Exactly.
Depends on how you grew up, how you were raised.
Absolutely. All right. So, any other thoughts on this chapter before we close things out?
Yeah. Anybody in chat got a thought? I guess it's okay to ask them if they do.
Have you guys read the book? I know Cynthia has the book now. You guys caught up.
Well, Brenda's reading the book. I don't know. She's not in chat. She wasn't feeling very good. She was thinking about getting in chat today, but she got the book now. She's caught up or just about caught up.
Nice.
So she's kind of. I think she'll probably be here next week.
Cool.
I'm just happy it's starting to unravel.
Yeah.
And I think this is
I was frustrated.
Yeah.
A little frustrated. Because I just kept thinking there's got to be a clue. She's left a clue. I kept thinking you got to find it. You got to find it. And it did make sense to me that it would be something to do with her birthday. And like I said, I thought she had found it under the tree. So I was really glad when she finally sat up in bed and remembered, hey, she would have left me something and it's got to be here.
Right.
And it makes a good sense, too, that she would have done it on her birthday because, again, it's obvious she's been planning this because if she had just given her a gift in the middle of the year, which would be something she wouldn't have done, people would have taken notice and they might have thought something was up.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, let's go around the horn. We'll start with Yanni and talk about what's coming up on your channels.
I am going back to Disney this week. Woohoo!
Rub it in, rub it in.
Yeah, actually, for the first time ever, unless my daughter, she's trying to get some vacation days. I'm leaving on Wednesday, coming back on Friday, a 2-night little trip. Last time I only did a 1 night. And it's for the first time by myself, all by myself as a big girl.
All by myself. I want to be all by myself.
So no, it's really cool. I'm excited. On Thursday, on Wednesday, I'm still doing my Que Pasa Miami series. It's just gonna be on a road trip. So we'll be out of Disney Springs, meeting some friends over there. And then Thursday, Adventures with VP always goes live from the parks. He goes live like at 9:30. So if I get to the parks like I did last time early, I'll go live before him. And then after, I'm hoping to meet up with at Hollywood Studios with Carlos and James Ryan and, persuade Carlos to get his wife, Suzanne, that beautiful new Loungefly that's out there, help him pick it out. So that's what's going on.
Gee, it sounds like a plot to me. Suzanne doesn't have anything to do with this, does she?
What?
No,
No, not Suzanne. She wouldn't.
She wouldn't. She wouldn't do that.
No. That's it. That's what
I shouldn't be so. I shouldn't think that way.
Oh man, awesome! All right, Tim, how about you? What's coming up on your channel?
Oh, what's coming up on my channel? Well, I'm going to try to get a video posted this week. I'm going to try, and Tracy taught me a couple things. Not that it has anything to do with that necessarily, but taught me a couple things. So now when I do my live streams, I can actually have visual aids instead of just jabber. But I hope if I can remember when I get there. But Saturday morning I'll have do what?
I said nothing.
Yeah, you said something. I need computer. Computer. So
hey, I'm not the one who brought it up this time. You did.
Well, you brought it up earlier.
That was before we were live.
Well, that's true. Dang. Chris, ignore all that. He didn't get the punchline, though, so. Anyway, I'll have my show Saturday morning, so we'll be there a couple of hours, maybe, if everything works out right Saturday, and see how that goes. That's all I've got going on right at the moment.
Jonathan, welcome in. Thank you for rescuing me from putting links in.
Thank you, Jonathan.
I was struggling to pay attention and try to find links for everyone, so I always appreciate when a mod pops in and does it for me. You guys are the best. All right, Gina, I know that you don't have anything yet, right? You're still in the works of maybe getting something up.
Yeah, this week it was a little bit of a break because my daughter went to senior prom. So it was kind of like getting stuff ready and trying stuff on, and I mean, just making sure everything was good. And so I was a little bit more distracted. So, and all of that.
You'll
So,
get there.
But,
Yeah.
You'll get there.
Yeah. I'm excited, but it's like, but yeah.
Was it a senior prom for your daughter?
Yes, it was.
Nice.
Yeah. And she went with friends and they, I guess, had a really, really nice time. And I was happy for her. So it was, I think I was a little, I was just a little distracted and a little nervous, but it was really good. So.
Big moment.
Yeah.
Starting to slip away there just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad she got to experience that. My son is a senior and they didn't have prom or senior trip or anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was where we live here. I mean, she's doing online schooling, but because we live in the district and she was part of the school, then it was okay, but they could only be from here. Like, no one could invite people from other towns. So it was not as many people, but it was still, it was nice for them to be able to have a good time. And
That's
I think,
amazing.
and that was important because she had gotten her dress like last year and everything was canceled. So, but yeah, so it was good.
I know some proms around here were outdoors this year. I know our doctor's oldest son was senior and he went to prom, and she was telling us that she was all somewhat fluttered about that, but she was also a little concerned because they thought it might rain that night. I think they got lucky. I don't think it rained, but it was going to be outdoors.
That must be a dream, like an outdoor prom when you could have like little twinkle lights set up under a. Oh, okay. Oh.
Probably where you're at. In Florida, we don't want an outdoor prom. There was last 2 minutes. You're beautiful. You go outside and it's like, what happened?
Yeah.
Well, it's just about up that humid up here too, but the temperature wouldn't have been as bad.
Yeah. So, all right, Tracy, how about you? What's coming up on your channel?
I got Not Wasting Time this Thursday, and Kenzie's not going live today at 4:30. She was doing some shopping herself this week or today, so I don't think she's going live. I've been invited on VP's and Gonzo's show tomorrow night at 10:30, so you might be able to catch me there. Nice. As long as I don't get mandated and can get out of work tomorrow night, I should be fine.
Awesome.
And Nerd Talk is Sunday sometime, but we haven't figured out who's going to host. It's probably going to be me again.
And no pizza this week, right?
No, we did pizza last week.
Okay.
That pizza looked amazing, though. Mm-hmm. That pizza looked so good, Tracy. I was like,
I tried.
I want pizza.
I have to knead it a little bit more because it's got to bread up a little bit. I didn't knead it long enough. I had a hole tear through it, so. Gotcha. But it was a lot of bacon. It was a pound of bacon, so.
Nice.
Awesome.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all.
That's it for you, right? Okay. Wednesday, guys, I will be back. Wednesday Whateverness. I did take 2-week hiatus from Wednesday Whateverness. I'll give a little bit of an explanation on Wednesday of what's been going on. Not too much. Just it was interesting. I'll say that. It was an interesting break. So tune in Wednesday, 5:00. We'll also talk our favorite book quotes. And I have some magic mail, so we'll go over some mail. So it'll be fun. Next Wednesday, I'm really excited because we're going to go antiquing, or as I'm calling it, Diz-teaking. We're going to go searching for Disney treasures in antique stores.
Oh,
live on the road.
We found some great stuff that way.
Yeah.
Some unusual stuff.
Yeah. I can't wait to go look live.
It's probably not worth anything, but we found a couple of 8mm reels of film. They were old Disney shorts, but the first one that we found to me, it's kind of priceless. It's probably not worth nothing, but it was a copy of Alice, one of the Alice movies. You guys familiar with the Alice movies? The Alice films were one of the first Disney shorts at all, even before they got into cartoons so much. But it was a live girl with cartoons. Live, I don't know how they blended, live action with cartoon. And Alice was kind of the first real Disney character, I guess, in some ways. So I've got a little film of her. I've played it. I mean, it's still good. I'd like to put it on digital. I got to find somebody that can maybe do that for me someday. But it's probably not worth anything. They probably sold them by the thousands. But to me, it was neat, and we found that in an antique store.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're gonna find some really good finds in antique stores. So
just got to look for them.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys.
I've always heard that the Northeast, I guess, I don't know if you count your part of New York as the same part, but I've always heard there's a lot of really good antique stores up that way.
Yeah.
Because it's an older part of the country.
there's a lot of good stuff in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. I've been antiquing there. New England is definitely a prime hub for antiques, so that's something I can't wait to go do. Oh, thank you, Jonathan, for putting Flipper's channel link in the chat. That's my husband's link. He is starting up his own channel, so if you guys want to pop over, click that link and subscribe. I know he has no content, and we're not sub for sub by any means, but if you want to know what he's going to do and you're curious, have at it. All right, have a great night, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
And I'll see you guys soon. Gotta hit the button.